First of all, I want to say thank you very much for coming this afternoon. I'm not too sure how many representatives do you have in the advisory council?
14.
14, eh? So we have 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Okay, so 9 of you, 9 out of 14. So that's a good number. The first thing that I'd like to say to all of you, Deputy Chairperson and all of you, I would like to say to you all, thank you very much for coming to meet me this afternoon. I know that time is a very precious thing, and it's something that's important for us. We have limited amount of time, so the fact that you can make it to be here with me this afternoon is something I appreciate. And I hope that you will find our meeting this afternoon fruitful. It'll be something of benefit that you can go back and talk to the people that you represent in the different settlements that you look after. But I am, as Farish has pointed out, I'm here to talk about the SWP. SWP is the Seasonal Work Program. Seasonal Work Program that is provided by Australia. The RSC is the Recognized Seasonal Employer Program that is done by New Zealand. Both of these programs, which is used by Australia and New Zealand, is something that they had made available to us in the Pacific from 2006. From 2006, they have allowed people from the Pacific Islands to go and work in the farms and in New Zealand and Australia. But in Fiji, was not open until 2015. Only after we have, these countries, they emphasize democracy, parliamentary government. So after we had the elections in 2014, then they allowed Fiji to be part of that program. In 2014, I went, that time I was the Minister for Labour in the old Bainimarama government. I joined that Bainimarama government in 2012. In 2014, they invited me to come to New Zealand. So I went and met them, visited the places where our people would be work. We discussed with the government officials. Then we had the elections in 2014. 2015, they allowed Fiji to also participate in this program. So our National Employment Center, for the officials that are here in Suva and Lautoka, we advertised this program, and we had people from all over Fiji. A lot of the people came from the towns and cities. They applied to join the seasonal work in Australia or New Zealand. Everybody who applied, they filled the forms, and then we had to take them through medical examination, medical assessment. Doctors check their heart, check their blood pressure, eyesight, everything, to be sure that they are strong, can do the kind of work that is needed there. And then people who are successful in their medical examination, they did the physical fitness test. Press up, sit up, because when you go and do work in Australia and New Zealand, for apple picking, they have to climb up the ladders like this. And they have the apples here. So you have to climb up the ladder, pick the apples from there, fill up this basket, walk down the ladder, go across to the crates there, put it into the crates, walk back up the ladder down. So it has to be strong, shoulders, pick up the ladder like that. So all of this has to be nice and strong. So everybody did the medical assessment, and then they did the physical fitness. Those who passed the medical assessment and physical fitness, they put their names into one work-ready pool. And then when the employers came from Australia and New Zealand, they invited the employers, just pick the people you want from this pool. So we had some workers that went to New Zealand, about 40 plus in that original group that went to New Zealand. And there was a group that went to Australia. This employer came from Australia, and he first of all picked four names from the pool. He took these 4 names to Australia, 4 people to Australia, and he was very impressed with the work that they did. He came back and picked another 134 to Australia. But the problem that we had is that the quality of the first 4 and the quality of the 134 was different.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the first 4 that they went, they did. When you have, has any of you done seasonal work in Australia or New Zealand? Anybody has done it? You have not done it, eh?
No, but some of them, we are the farmers.
Oh, yeah, but you have know some people. When I was met the District Advisory, or Rural Advisory Council, this is District Advisory, yeah? When I met them in Nandronga, one of them, remember, he had actually gone, so he knew all about it. When you have grapes, the grapes, it's like a vine. There's a tree that goes in the vine. Then you have to have the long wires like this, and you get the vines to go along that wire, and then the grapes will flower along that thing. So that plant where it grows, that thing after 15 years, they have to get rid of it because it becomes not so productive, not so many. Just like your sugar cane, you know, you have the ratoon, then after how many years you have to throw it out and plant again so that you can have more. So the same thing. After 15 years, they have to dig and uproot these vines. So a lot of the people, when they had that job in Australia, a lot of people don't want to do that job because it's very tough to dig the tree out and dig it out. So these 4 that they came, they went there, all those things came out. So the employer was very happy with them. So when the next 134 came, there was a problems that we faced with these lots. Quite a number of them, they ran away from the workplace. There was one group that was sent to pick tomatoes in one farm. 20 people were sent. By the time the former minister, the minister before me was Simi Korlavisau, who is now the Minister for Fisheries. When he went and visited this farm, out of the 20 that were sent there to go and pick the tomatoes, only 6 were left. 14 ran away. Only 6 left. So we looked at all of the reasons for this. There might have been all kinds of reasons. One, people were did not fully understand the situation that they would face there. When they go there, when you start working, there will be deductions to your pay, especially for the first month, first 5, 6, 7 weeks. There will be a lot of deductions. So if you are not working, you will not be able to pay for the deductions. Pay for your part of your airfare that you have to pay, your accommodation, all of that. So there's quite a lot of people. Up till to now, of that group that went in 2015, 19 are still missing. So when that happened, government saw that the reputation for Fiji workers went down.
Yeah.
And you know, for the other countries had been going from 2006. 2006, 2007, 2008, they are going 9, 10, 11, 12. So all of these farmers know about Vanuatu, Tonga and Samoa. So when we come into a country like Australia and New Zealand, we have to compete with the other countries that have been going there for some time. So we have to be very wary about the quality of the people that we send. The number that we sent to Australia in 2015 was 137 or 138. Next year it went down to 80. This year only 20-something. Only 20-something have gone so far to Australia this year. Well, this is from Bai. Only 35 so far to Australia. Our reputation has gone down. So what government wants to do now, we want to do one thing. One of the problems we had in 2015, quite a lot of the people that had that problem were people from the towns. They're not used to hard work. They're used to, you know, just, we say in Fijian, sisi. They slide this way and they slide that way. They kick the paper this way, they kick the paper that way. So we don't want those kind of people to go. We want people to go, people who can work hard. Not just work hard for 1 day or 1 week, can work hard for 6 months. You know, a lot of people can work for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. After a week, maybe 1 month. In the second month, they want to give up. But this job, we need people who will work for Australia for 6 months. New Zealand, 7 months. They'll probably go there 1 or 2 weeks, they learn, train. They train. Then once they work, they need to work hard so that the reputation of the Fijian worker can go back up. But we've realized in order to do that, we need to make sure we can have a better screening of the people that we propose. See, in the past, we just asked them, who wants to go? They put their hand up. Okay, fill the form, do your medical exam, do your physical fitness. They pass that, we say they're okay. But some of them, lazy people. You know the kind. Some of our settlements, they drink grog all day. And they sit around, they take the cane knife. Some of our people in our villages, they take the cane knife, they go to the Tavioka Pet and they go and sleep. Afternoon they come back. That kind we don't want. Because if they go and do the same thing there, the employees will not want us. So what we are doing now, government has changed its approach. Now anybody who wants to go on seasonal work, they can come and apply to our ministry. We will do the medical examination for them, assessment. We'll put them into the work-ready pool. But we are creating another pool. A priority pool of people who have been assessed. Like for instance, for the Itoke villages, we have established Tikina teams. For all the villages that are away from the towns and cities, we ask all of the villages. You go and ask the people in your village who wants to go. In Lotok, for instance, we don't take these close by villages. Village of Namoli not included because all of these people are town people. They can find work here. Village like Matawalu we don't include. They can find work here. But those that are difficult, rural areas, in those settlements, you go and ask them, who wants to go? If they say yes, then you have to select the good kind of person because you know them. 3 per settlement. That's what we're looking for. We're going to, today, I've just come down from Ambada, the village up here.
Just nearby my.
No, that's near your area. Yeah. So Ambada is part of Vunda. Vunda, but in the Tikina Vunda, all these villages like Visese and these other places, well, we don't include them, but we include that village because they are far away. So we ask them, you choose 3. So the same thing that we will want you in your settlements for those that want to be part of this special team that we call the Tikina team. So the team that will come from you will include them there. Out of each of those settlements, you need to have 3. And there are some criteria that they must meet. The age group is between 18 to 45. This is the age group that they want.
Say 3 from each settlement.
Each from each settlement.
Okay, I say, for example, I got 9 settlements.
How many in one settlement?
It's about 400 houses, 600 houses like that.
In one settlement? Yeah, from each settlement 3.
3.
So if you have one settlement, 20 people put their hand up, we want to go.
Okay.
You check.
Okay.
You will be the screening device for government to make sure that the good people are coming.
So the best 3.
Yes, so the ones that we know will work hard. We have when we first sent people to Australia, New Zealand, they were telling us we can go and work after all the deductions. There's a lot of deductions that are made. If you are chosen to work in New Zealand, your return airfare from Nandi, if your return airfare is $700 from Nandi to New Zealand and back, of that return airfare, the employer will pay $500. He will pay $500 for your airfare. You don't have to pocket from your money. The balance of $200 you will have to pay. But you don't pay cash. It's deducted from your pay while you are there. But that's the first thing. The employer has a part to play. If you're going to Australia, your return airfare from Nandi, 50% of that airfare the employer will pay. The other half will be deducted from your salary. A lot of people are now trying to go, they try to do tourist visa and then go and work illegally. So first thing they have to do, they have to save the airfare. This one, airfare is taken care of. You will only get the deductions for the portion that you have to pay. And so those things are deducted. When you are in Australia, New Zealand, your accommodation, where you live, that is deducted from your pay. Every week you get paid, every week the deduction is made. Can be $100 a week, $110 a week, $120 a week. Can be something like that. You are deducted on your income tax. Like if you're in New Zealand, you have to pay income tax. When you go there, in order to protect you, we'll have to pay for medical insurance. Your medical insurance is cut every day. Then you have to pay for your food. As a group, you probably contribute $20 or $30 a week, then you buy the food and you cook it. What else will you have to pay? They will provide transport. There are some companies in Australia, some farms in Australia, for every 5 people, they'll provide 1 vehicle. So one of those 5 has to be a driver. The use of that vehicle, they'll also make the deductions on that and the cost of the fuel. So a lot of these things are deducted. If you work in Australia, they make deductions for your superannuation, like FNPF here. You keep it there. When you finish, you can take it back. So all of these things are deducted. But when we sent people initially in 2015, we look at the kind of money that they were able to save and bring back. We saw that some saved 5,000, some saved 6,000, 8,000, some even 10,000, and some 12,000. But now, we are seeing now that some people coming back now, they are able to bring back up to $20,000. $20,000 from 6 months of working. That's after all deductions. There is one case that has come back, was it last week? Last week he came in the paper. This boy from all the way from Laos. After 6 months in Australia, after all his deductions, he has brought back to Fiji $26,000.
Last week, I think.
Yeah, that one, that boy, 26,000.
33,000 Fijian dollars.
Yeah. 6 months work, possible. That's the kind of person we want.
That's it. We need to select a person.
You
so
need to select
very
person.
genuine desire.
Right, that's it. And discipline.
Yeah.
Discipline. Because you know, when you go and work in Australia and New Zealand, when you start, you will start on your minimum wage. Minimum wage in New Zealand is $15.05 New Zealand per hour. That's maybe $18, $19. In Australia, it's $21. That's almost $30, Fijian, per hour. But as you start working, as you learn to work, the people who really make money are the ones who are not being paid per hour, but piece rate. The more they do, the more they get. So this kind of person to save 26,000, this is showing piece rate.
Very true.
Piece rate. They can do the work, they're disciplined. Time to sleep, they sleep. So they want to work. Australia is 6 months. Just go for 6 months. Work hard. Come back and come and relax in Fiji.
That's it.
They so that's what you want. People that are like that. That's the kind of person you have to choose. 18 to 45. What else is there? Police record must be good, because if police record is bad, they might not be able to get the visa. Yeah, good police record, clean police record. A hard-working person, disciplined person. And thing here is alcohol. Alcohol is thing they don't like, because you know, you drink too much today, tomorrow you don't come to work. And some people, they always drink every weekend, every Monday they are sick. We know this in government. In government, Monday, big disease. Monday disease. Not only in government, private sector too. Government factory, they know. Monday, a lot of people are sick. Some just drink too much grog on Sunday. No, not enough discipline. Too much grog, they're going to get a sick sheet in which they are lying. They are lying to their employer, they are lying to themselves, not really sick, just too much grog. That's the kind of person you don't select. Don't select that kind of person. He's the person you select is representing you as an advisory council. You selected them. They'll be representing your settlement, your district. And that's what we must be very careful of. People can be disciplined and work hard. Grog, too much grog, people become too lazy. Grog, alcohol, even smoking. You know, when you have peace rate in Australia, New Zealand, they have smoke time. They call smoko. Tools down, go and smoke. After that, come back and work again. But some people, even without a smoke break, they go. The more you do this, and the employer is watching. That kind of person, I don't want.
That's it.
So if we have a lot of people from Fiji going like that, every half an hour going one cigarette, every 15 minutes, this kind of person, Fiji, I don't like. That's what the government wants the number from Fiji to rise up. Vanuatu started in this program in 2006. Now, every year, there are 3,000 people from Vanuatu going to New Zealand. They go, they work. You just imagine, if of that 3,000 that are going, and if all of them are saving $20,000 each. I don't know how much money that is. 3,000 times 20,000. How much is that? 6 million or 60 million, something like that. Every year they bring that money back into their country. And now they are sending 3,000 to New Zealand, and I heard that they're saying about 2,000 to Australia. In Fiji, our number to Australia now is around 200. I want that now as minister, I would like to see that number go to 1,000 to 2,000. But it depends on the quality of people that are going initially. So if we have good quality going, it will lead to those employers wanting more from Fiji. Oh, that's where I want to work in partnership with you, because you know them. The other thing that we want is to help people in the rural areas, because we are very worried about people leaving rural areas and coming to the towns and cities. Then we have these big squatter settlements, the houses are all together, the sanitation is not good, the water is not good, somebody gets dengue, everybody gets dengue because the cleanliness is not there. We have a lot of social problems, theft, robbery, that kind of. We would like to keep people in the rural areas. So by taking this program and emphasizing rural people, you give them an opportunity to stay in the rural area, go and make some money, come back, go and fix your business, improve your farm, do something like that to help yourself. That's why I want to work in partnership with you. So that, gentleman, is why I'm here, to tell you about this program. This is how we're going to do it. Anybody else, people can still come and join our work ready pool on our own. But our priority will be the names that you give and the names that the Tekina gives, because we know that these names have been very thoroughly screened. You have really said, okay, the 3 people from this settlement that I named, these are good quality people. So when employers will come, we will encourage them to pick from the names that you have selected. From the Lautoka, what do you call Lautoka district? Lautoka district, and from all of the settlements. So that's how we want to work in partnership with you. Our job is for you perhaps to come up with the names, and you will have to work with the district officer here. District officer is not here. Huh? Okay, we'll make the arrangement with the district office. You come up and work with the district office. Because you people work through the provincial administrator. Okay.
So one thing, is there any time frame for this?
Yes.
process?
The next phase is the assessment and the medical exam take. That takes place in June. We don't have the exact dates now. So you will need to be able to come up with the names from each of the settlements by around somewhere in May, hopefully mid-May. By mid-May, you will have that, and you will stamp it with your rural advisory, district advisory council stamp or something. These are the official names. Goes to the DEO's office. He will do that stamping and all of that, and it comes to our office. Then in June, our assessment team comes. As I said, that assessment team will include a doctor who will check the medical fitness, eyesight, heart, I don't know, all the things that the doctors do, just to make sure that the people who go there can do the kind of work that is required. Like this is just for apples, eh? But then there's apples. I think is quite vigorous work because you have to climb up the ladder, climb up and down the ladder, carry the things, throw it out, do the medical assessment, do the physical fitness. All of those people that are selected, once they do the medical assessment and the physical fitness assessment, the next thing that they must be able to provide is their passport. But they do that after they have passed, no, because they might pay for the passport and later on they fail the medical exam. Medical exam first, physical fitness. If you pass the medical exam, then the doctor will allow you to do the physical fitness. Right? If you fail the medical exam, the doctor will not allow you to do the physical fitness. Once you pass that, then you do your passport. I think during that assessment, they will have the immigration people here also ready. So people need to bring the passport size photo, birth certificate, all that. They can do their passport. After they've got their name, will then be in the pool. Later on, if people are selected to go to New Zealand, they will also have to pay for a special X-ray. New Zealand requires a special X-ray that I think is only provided customly in Suva and Lautoka. There's one doctor, one place in Lautoka that they go for. That will cost $125, I think. 125, eh? 120 is the cost of that particular X-ray. If the group is chosen to go to Australia, they don't have to do that particular X-ray. That is a requirement from New Zealand. Then ultimately, after the names have been selected, our job as a ministry will be try to get the employees to select this group. Eh? If the employees group is selected, then 1 week before they go, we will call them together for a pre-departure orientation training. Do some training for them. What to expect in Australia and New Zealand. What is in the contract, for them to understand the contract. How to save the money, how to manage your money, so you don't go there and just spend it left, right, and center. It's better to send somebody who has a plan of what they want to do. This person that I told you, Lukedama is his name, from Motuku in Laos. He is saved 26,000 because he already had a plan of what he wanted to do. He wanted to build a house, he wanted to buy a fiber, and wanted to buy an engine. By the time he comes now, he's paid a deposit for his house, he's buying his fiber boat, and he's also paying for his engine because he's got a plan, already got a plan. If somebody goes there got no plan, he will just use that money. Like, it's okay, it's his money, but better for somebody to come back and use something with that particular money. Yeah? So they will also, in this pre-departure orientation training, 1 week before they go, they'll be taught about all of these things. They'll be taught about life there. In Australia and New Zealand, things like alcohol, very cheap. Everywhere, it's just around. So we need people to be able to discipline. And things are very, very easy to do there. They don't have a lot of the restrictions that we have here. But so they will. So after they have been chosen to go to Australia and New Zealand, that's the time then. If necessary, they might have to pay for the visa. Visa is around $370 something. But there are a lot of employers now who are paying the visa themselves. But if the employer pays the visa, when you go there, he will make the deductions from the wages. Eh? So when people go, they will make the deductions for the wages for this thing, for the insurance, they'll make the deductions, for accommodation, all of those things, the deductions will be made in Australia. So that, my friends, is why we're here, to talk about this issue. And I know that a lot of people will want to go, but we as government count on you to screen them. If somebody from your settlement, you don't choose him to be your representative, he still wants to go, he can still come and register with us directly. But when he registers with us, we'll put his name in that work-ready pool. His name will not go in this special district pool or the Tikina pool. This one will be our priority because all the names in this pool, we know are the names that have been checked and screened by you, and in case of the Itoke villages by the Turani Koro and all the chiefs. That will be the priority for us. So that's why I'm here, to give you that information. And I think I'll leave it at that, and you have time, opportunity for any questions you may want to ask me. Please, ask me. Give us the questions.
Just want to know one thing.
So we know that this one, when it comes through, if they are delivering good work, employers will want, they will immediately ask for another 200. So you have a good number, the number goes up.
Yeah.
We have one bad egg, all the number goes down. The chairperson, and from there, you stamp it with whatever stamp that you have. This is the official list, listed by settlement and the names of the people. Going 5 times. He saved more than $40,000. But our people that are saving 26,000, this is the first time. It's quite amazing that they did it. And you know them, eh?
Yeah.
We have to just submit the names of the best.
Names. How is it being submitted now? They have a list that's stamped by the DO's office, eh? With the District Advisory Council stamp. These are the names, these are our settlements.
And sir, just to add that, different departments have got different boundaries. Like the police have got their boundary somewhere next to his shop on the main road. And the education is having the boundary where the chairman has mentioned, it's Reverie. So it's really very, very confusing.
Your district ones, you know where the boundaries are.
Yeah, our boundary is okay. I'm within Lotoka.
But only the ones on
Only the one